Good day everyone. Today, my friends and I will present a topic about state. To form a state, they need four essential elements. The first one is population. State is a community of a person and people living within it must be large enough but with no limits. Even though there is no limits, hence the population must be sufficient to maintain a state's organization. It can be determined by a standard of living expected, and the territorial resources must be enough and capable of supporting the needs of defense and production of goods and services. People that live in one's territorial are called citizens, and they should enjoy freedoms and rights and also perform several duties. For example, like pay taxes and respect the leaders. In addition, there are citizens from other states that live in one's territorial state, and they are called immigrant. Either the citizen or immigrant are bound to obey the state law and policies. Next essential element is a territory. A state is a territorial unit, and a definite territory is needed. Every state must have a territory with known and recognized boundary. It can be small or big territory, however, it must be a well-marked portion. For example, states like Russia and Canada have a large territory boundaries, whereas Nepal and Maldives have a small territory. Moreover, states' territory not only consists of land, which include mountain and hills, but also water like river, lake, sea, or even a portion of coastal sea and a space above the territory. These three compounds within the definite territorial are what comprise a territory, and territory of one to another are usually contiguous. The exact location and political boundaries are often a source of conflict and dispute, where often lead to war or refer to ICJ, International Court of Justice, for a decision. The third element is government. State need a government to operate successfully. Government is an institution or political organization that makes, implement, enforce, and educates the law and policy. Government also the one that carry out the government objective. Each government have three organs, which is legislative, judiciary, and executive. And each of them carry a assigned function. With the absence of government, they will have anarchy like disorder, chaos, and confusion. The form and system can be anything because it depends on the nature of the state itself and political thoughts and characteristics. For instance, it can be monarchy, aristocracy, dictatorship, democracy, and it can also be either parliamentary or presidential or even both. The last element is the most exclusive, which is sovereignty. Sovereignty means that the state possesses supreme and absolute power towards its citizen and within the territorial boundaries. Some institutions may have three elements, which is population, territory, and government, but not sovereignty. Without sovereignty, there will be no legal state. Sovereignty is divided into two categories, which is internal and external sovereignty. In internal sovereignty, the state can monopoly and the authority inside its boundaries. All people who live within the territory should act in accordance to the law and policies of the state, and the state have the power to punish of any of them if they make any violation of the law. Furthermore, in external sovereignty, each state has its own and complete independence from another state. It also means that the state is unaffected by other power or external power and authority, and have a full freedom to participate in the activities of the community in the national level.
Hi everyone, and today I'm going to present about the characteristic of effective country. The first point for the characteristic of effective country is freedom. The citizens have the rights to choose and who you want to be. For example, people must free to think free to dream, free to explore, free to express, free to change, even free to fail. Freedom has its risk, but it's my belief that these can be diminished by others' values like morality, graciousness, and truthfulness. And my second point for the characteristic of effective country is justice. There is a strong desire to ensure fairness and equality in our society, making sure that everyone's rights are protected regardless. In addition, making new laws and revoking the old laws shows a commitment to justice and ideology. The enforcement and interpretation of these laws must be impartial by discharging the judiciary from any influence of executive. Justice in a society bring about the sense of security in its citizenry, promoting what is right and what is wrong. And my last point for characteristic of effective country is truthfulness. Where truth is sought after in all areas, demonstrating itself in transparency, integrity, and honesty in all governmental and private sectors. A commitment to openness, truthfulness, and accountability help our country avoid to stepping into illegal works. In addition, lack of truthfulness will encourage those who wish to hide their evil deeds in the shadow of justice. Having open and transparent tenders for all government's projects and passing freedom of information legislation would be step in the right direction. In such society, leaders would be honest about mistakes made and action would be taken without fear or favor. Thank you.
For effective state, I choose Switzerland because there are many aspects to prove that Switzerland is one of the best countries in the world. Which no surprise, Swiss was named as the best country in the world for the 3 consecutive years. First, Switzerland have the best human rights implementation where everyone have their own freedom of speech. Since Swiss is a direct democracy, where the Swiss people play a vital role on how the country is run, members of the public can launch a referendum. Nonetheless, only Swiss citizens can request optional referendum to contest a new or revised law. However, to succeed, they must gather 50,000 signatures within 100 days. Furthermore, to demand a change to constitution, via referendum must be launched by a group of at least 7 citizens, and it must be backed by 100,000 signatures within 18 months. To pass, it requires double majority of the people and the majority of the cantons. Next, Swiss people are truthful. Swiss people will obey the law that have been set by the government. Since Swiss is federalist state, they have different federal, cantonal, and communal law. In addition, international law that have been ratified by Switzerland also applicable. Since Swiss have a thick law, they are even thicker with the enforcement. And Swiss crime is low compared to the international standard. Once Swiss start to obey the law, they will assume that all of his fellow countrymen should also obey them. If the UK have a cheating the system style, it's not with Swiss. Swiss people cannot accept that style because Swiss see the point of minor legislation and will enforce it. Hence, even like a nonsense and unenforceable law like forbidden to wash car or having a garden bonfire on Saturday are easily policed by those who don't hesitate in reporting their offenders. Last but not least, Switzerland is also one of the countries that have experienced the minimal corruption. In 2019, CPI, Corruption Perception Index, reveals that majority of the country are showing little to no improvement in tackling the corruption. This is also including Switzerland, where they show no improvement in their CPI compared to the year 2018. But still, they are the country that have been perceived less corrupt because their score is in between 80 to 89 score. And this has been continued since the past 8 years, where Switzerland remained the score or maybe a decrease by 1 score only.
Okay, hi everyone. Today I would like to briefly explain about the characteristics of a weak country. Okay, firstly would be low level of income. Okay, underdeveloped countries are maintaining a very low level of income compared to the so-called developed countries. The per capita incomes of this group of countries are extremely low if we compare it with the developed countries. Moreover, inequality in the distribution of income along with this low level of income worsens the situation in these economies to a disastrous level. Okay, besides that would be mass poverty. Existence of chronic mass poverty in other characteristics of underdeveloped economies. This problem of poverty arises not due to any temporary economic maladjustment but arises mainly due to existence of orthodox methods of production in social institutions. The degree of poverty in these economics gradually increase due to increase of size population, growing inequality, and also rising of price level. Okay, finally would be that shortage of technology and skills. Underdeveloped countries are facing low level of technology and acute shortage of skilled manpowers. So poor technology and lower skills are responsible for inefficient and insufficient production, which leads to poverty of masses. The pace of economic growth in these countries is very slow due to application of poor technologies. But the application of modern sophisticated technologies both in agriculture and industrial sector is utmost need in these countries. This requires sufficient amount of capital, technology, and also advancement in training.
Aristotle once said, "A good citizen makes a good state, and a bad citizen makes a bad state." In political studies, there are many ways on how to analyze the status of the country based on political, economics, and also social perspective. First of all, we will look into political perspective. In handling a state or a country, the main thing that we need to make sure is their political perspective, whether it is in good status or vice versa. However, weak state fail to do so. In weak state, democracy is often preached but very seldom practiced. As we know, there are pretty much corruption that happened in Mexico. In 2017, Transparency International 2017 Corruption Perception Index ranked the country at 135th place out of 180 countries. Mexico functioned as a one-party state and was characterized by a system in which politicians provide bribes to their constituents in exchange for support and votes for re-election.
Next, we will look into economic perspective of weak country. Hierarchization was the norm. Power was consolidated in the hands of an elite few, and even more narrowly, the president controlled almost all of the practical power across the 3 branches of government. Hierarchization lead to unhealthy economic distribution among citizens, and at the end of the day, it will affect the country's economic growth. When we talk about economic perspective, it is basically involving the elite, middle, and lower status of the citizen. When it comes to hierarchization, automatically there are bias between those 3 categories. It was a norm even most of Asia countries. This kind of phenomenon will let the rich people become richer and poor become poorer. For instance, in India, their unemployment rate was at 6.1% among the youth. This is because only the elite people will get the education, while the lower class will not enjoy it. And at the end of the day, the lower class have a lack of skill, especially in technology industry. Moving forward into social perspective, weak state in countries with massive poverty and society plagued by conflicts and violence. There are so many examples that we can refer to this point, such as in Mexico. Mexican law enforcement and the military have struggled to curb crime-related violence. In 2018, the number of drug-related homicides in Mexico rose to 33,341, a 15% increase from the previous year. Moreover, Mexican cartel killed at least 130 candidates and politicians in the lead up to Mexico's 2018 presidential election.
Hi, so today I am going to explain about a failed state. A failed state considered as a fail when they fulfill these two standards. First, have no national government, and second, their territory is at risk. National government in failed state considered as a fail because they cannot properly deliver to the society, and also they cannot properly administer the government. Taking an example, in Sudan, they went through a lot of they went through a lot of regimes government and also parliamentary government. This is because actually in Sudan they have a lot of power transitions occurred there, so that just in a few years they always have the new government. This is as very ineffective as government to always have to change power whenever they have issues, and that is why Sudan is classified as failed state. The second reason why a state classified as failed, because their territory is at risk. Taking example for Sudan, this small area called Abyei categorized as disputed area because Abyei is an economic region for both South Sudan and the official Sudan. South Sudan and official Sudan has a conflict to possess Abyei because there is rich of natural resources there. So both of these two government want Abyei to include in their territory. That is all. Thank you.
Wrap up, every government must develop their own state way of life. Each government must try to improve themselves into a better stage. As for failed state, they can improve into a weak state first and then moving forward to an effective state. Same goes to a weak state. They need to develop to become one of those effective states. Nonetheless, effective states should not only sit back and do nothing, as they should revamp their citizen well-being to become a more better state. To be upgraded, each state need to develop on their political, economy and social perspective. In political aspect, each government must have a proper plan how to govern a country, and that plan must be effective on the current year. Moreover, people with power and authority should not misuse it to oppress the weak. As in economic aspect, government should grab all the possible opportunity that will bring benefit towards the country. To give an example, government should make use of the country resources to the fullest, where it can generate more revenue, where it can greatly impact one's country GDP. As a result, it can reduce unemployment rate, where it can create more job opportunities. In addition, government can improve on their citizen human rights as for social perspective. For instance, government can tighten more on the security by power up their armies and improve on their healthcare. Thank you.